Hey everybody, I'm Mikey Andersen, and this is Fantasy Avenue, where each week we talk about everything you need to know in the world of fantasy football. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Avenue. I'm Mikey Andersen, and today we only said one hello. Pause, bro. So we had a notification sound. See, I'm gonna take this moment to explain a lot of things right now. My absence. This is we just had a 2-week hiatus from doing podcasts, right? And now I'm back, and we have a ton of listeners. I know that we're just dying to hear the next episode. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you guys on the edge of your seats, waiting for me. Obviously. So anyway, long story short. His name is Adam. He is basically my mentor for these podcasts. He's taught me everything I know about podcasts. He worked in the same office as my dad, and that's kind of how I met. I wanted to just maybe start a podcast, and he does podcasts for a living. So he set me up with his setup, taught me everything I would need to know, and then he up and left. You know what? I mean, I guess family is more important than podcasting. But come on, Adam, I need you here. So anyway, Adam moved to Tennessee. This is not a goodbye, and this is not a goodbye for us, and this is not a goodbye for you guys for hearing about Adam. I'm sure that I will mention him in plenty more podcasts. But anyway, he moved away and left. This is awesome by him too. Big shout out to him. He left his mic and his soundboard here, all his mics and soundboard, that I could use and that other people in this office could use. The only thing he took was his computer, which is understandable. But that's why we haven't been doing podcasts, is because of we haven't had a computer. I haven't had a computer to do mine on. So there's just been some microphones and stuff sitting waiting. Well, we bought a new computer, kind of not really mine, just like a family computer, and I'm going to use it for podcasts, and it's going to be sick. I'm going to be able to use it for podcasting as like the new setup, and that's why, long story short, why I've been on this break. However, the reason we just got into this topic is because of that notification sound. How rude of somebody to pop up, right? To pop up on my thing and text me right now. I don't even know who it was, but let me see if I can keep talking while I try to figure this out. Now, it might not work. Might just... we'll be back in a second, possibly. Let's go to settings. Let's go to system settings. Are we still recording? I'm not sure if... we are still recording. Amazing. I can go to notification sound, alert volume, turn it all the way down. I don't have any volume on my alerts. Now, if somebody texts me, because everybody's texting me during my podcast because they want to get mentioned so much. They want to be on the podcast so much. Not sarcasm. That was really true. Well, now we're not going to be able to hear the notifications. So now we are fully clear and good to be able to hop in the episode. Exciting. Very exciting. On that note, if anybody wants to be in the podcast at all, even a tiny, teeny little bit, please check it out. Tell me, if you know me in person, tell me. If you're not, DM me on Instagram. Come on the podcast. Literally, it can be any single thing. You don't have to know about football. You could ask, how do I draft in fantasy football? I will be telling you. This is already planned. I already have some guests planned to come on. You know who you are. And do an episode that just explains the basics of fantasy football, and then I think there'll actually be a league with these people, possibly. But anyway, we'll have an episode explaining the basics of fantasy football. But if you have questions like that, if you just want to talk about football, I would like to not just sit here alone every day in the office. Now that Adam's gone, it really is just me. There's no chance that anybody else is really going to be doing podcasts. There are other people, but, it's not like I have a whole crowd of people around me partying while I do these podcasts. No, I'm alone in a studio room, just sitting here with some cold drinks and a lot of time in my hands, and I think you guys can fix that for me. So if you want to come on, talk about football, talk about in-depth, the basics, whatever you want, I'm here. Just shoot me a message. And if you are somebody that we've already talked about, let's go. I'll be texting. I'll be messaging. Let's get that like next week maybe. I just need to do one episode coming back after a couple weeks. This is actually a part 2 from the last couple weeks, but that kind of went by the wayside, obviously. So that's kind of why, that's kind of why we're doing this right now. You know what? No. You know what? I'm thinking about it. Never mind. Scratch that part too. If I'm not even going to do a list this year about my top quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, I'll talk about it a little bit. They're not going to be very in-depth. It'll probably be one episode, 30-minute episode that covers every single position. I'm really going to focus more on kind of expanding content. It doesn't have to be, it can still, during the season, I really want it to still be super informative and super helpful if you're trying to win your league. But at this point, I just kind of want to expand it to be entertaining. And you know what? Going through lists of last year, especially if I'm not even doing lists of this year, not entertaining. So let's just move on. I'll look through these lists real quick. I'll tell you, wow, what a pick by me, right? Wow, terrible pick by me. And I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to say what a great pick. Right, my top people, we have Justin Jefferson on top. We have Devontae Adams. It worked out perfectly. We had Tyreek Hill just inside the top 10, which I don't think people expected him to do that good with the Dolphins, but he rose up to the challenge. Who else we got on here? DJ Moore, another player that's going to be good this year on a new team. Some bust/overrated players. I had Hunter Renfrow and Amari Cooper as overrated. Turned out great. Now their quarterback situations is what turned them to that, but they were still bust/overrated, so I'll take it. And sleeper/undervalued, well, this is where it gets a little tough. Now, I had Juju Smith-Schuster. He actually played okay, and so did Chris Godwin. Now, they didn't play amazing, but they were both undervalued. On the flip side, I had Courtland Sutton and Brandon Cooks, who both had very mid-years, and they really shouldn't. Now, Brandon Cooks is all about consistency. I think he's like 32. I think he's finally hit that wall where he's not. You can't really trust him to be consistent. That's okay. Good career for him in terms of fantasy football, and he's still around. He just won't be that cornerstone staple of consistency. As for Courtland Sutton, bro, are you kidding me, bro? That's what you can do with Russell Wilson? Golly. It's quite sad, and that's why I don't have him rated. Unfortunately, this has also led to a lot of hate on the Broncos players. Especially from my head football coach, who, by the way, is a Raiders fan. Now, I understand we're rivals. The Raiders aren't very great either. So all this talk, it's all this talk about how the Broncos are going to look this year from everyone, not just Raiders fans. And I'm like, I don't know. I get it. But let's not hate. It's a new year. I'm not saying the Broncos were good. Courtland Sutton, bad. Russell Wilson, bad. Head coach, bad. We were bad. But coming from a Raiders fan, Russell Wilson has had his entire career, and I'm going to make sure to state this next time you're making fun of my Broncos. Russell Wilson went to college, got drafted by the NFL, had a couple good years, won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl, got injured, traded teams, had a bad year, and I'm pretty sure had like 10 years before he even got in the NFL, before that entire story. In the span since the Raiders have won a playoff game. I haven't even seen the Raiders win a playoff game because I haven't been alive. So Coach Chandler, just calm down. Both our teams are bad, all right? Come on. It's not like you're a Patriots fan and you've just got ended with 15 years of dominance and now you're bad. The Raiders have been trash. They have good players. They have Josh Jacobs. They have Devontae Adams. Two players that I usually talk about a lot. Come on. They can't even win with them. The Broncos aren't faking it. We have Russell Wilson. Is he good? Is he bad? I don't know. Devontae Adams is a certified dog and you guys still can't win. So let's just chill on the Bronco 8 altogether. As for my list, as for me putting down Courtland Sutton, oh boy. Yeah, that was on me. And I really don't like him this year either. I believe we can be good. I believe with the new head coach, this is a prove-it year for the Broncos and for the Broncos players. I believe Russ will either be mid, like last year, or he'll be good. Either way, Jerry Jeudy will be the star of that offense. And I believe with Tim Patrick going down with an ACL injury, Marvin Mims will be the number 2 receiver. I believe Courtland Sutton has found his place as a number 3 receiver on the team. Don't draft him, bro. Go ahead and draft Marvin Mims, a rookie, over Courtland Sutton at this point. There's been a lot of hate. Come on now. Let's just chill on the Broncos for a little bit. Let's just chill on every team now. It's the preseason. All right. That was my rant. That was the rant I needed to get out, all right, about these Broncos. I brought back some past trauma seeing that I wrote Courtland Sutton down because of how much of a player he was. I'm going to go right on the tight ends. I don't need to see anything more. I don't need to know anything more. Tight ends, you only need to know one player, and it's that I put Travis Kelce down first. A Chiefs player who also I'm not very fond of, but dang is he good, Travis Kelce. Gosh, dang it. I don't want to say that he is he's not my highest player this year. If I had first overall pick, I'm not picking Travis Kelce. But he is the most valuable player this year in fantasy football, 100 million%. And in a league that I already drafted him, I picked him, I think, 9th overall. Possibly a reach, depending on who you talk to, it's a reach. Maybe I picked him too high, like there are better players available. But no, he is a god. He is someone you can build your team around. He is so much better in terms of points than any other tight end. The value for Travis Kelce is better than any player at any position in the entire league. And that's why maybe I wouldn't pick him first overall, but I'm targeting him in every single one of the drafts I'm doing. And this is super important. Little clip right here at 10 minutes and 20 seconds into the episode right here. Tight ends, you either go overall first tight end or you go no tight ends. It's an all or nothing strategy this year in terms of drafting. And what I mean by that is either pick Travis Kelce in the late first or early second round, or do not draft a tight end until you got every one of your positions. And I'm serious, until you have 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a quarterback, and maybe a couple flex players. You should wait till like the 8th round to draft a tight end if you didn't draft Travis Kelce, because the amount of difference in points between number 2 Mark Andrews, who I'm assuming will be the number 2 tight end this year, kind of what I'm planning right now, and maybe the number 8 tight end, right? Let's just guess Darren Waller, right? The difference between Mark Andrews and Darren Waller this year in terms of points, when this is like, okay, so if we're drafting Travis Kelce round 1, Mark Andrews round 2, blah, 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 down the list until number 8 tight end round 8, the difference between the 2nd and 8th tight end will be smaller, will be smaller than the difference between the 1st and 2nd tight end. That's how much better Travis Kelce is. So you're not going to, if you don't get Travis Kelce, the best strategy in terms of value is to pick your other positions, get good guys at other positions, and find an okay tight end. Because basically, every tight end is okay except Travis Kelce. Now, if you can get Mark Andrews in the 8th round, wow, that's amazing. But that's not going to happen because a lot of people aren't going to do the strategy I'm laying out. All you need is an okay tight end or an amazing tight end. There's no point to reaching for somebody in the middle. That's how good Travis Kelce is. That's why I ranked him number 1 last year. That's why he was number 1. That's why it's number 1 this year, It's stuff like that. Now, we're almost done going through my list. 12 minutes in the episode. Well, I think we're going to have a long episode because I don't want to talk about these lists the whole time. I want to do other stuff. I ranked my overall defenses. I don't even know. Defense, it's just like whoever you can find. These were okay picks, right? Bills, Bucks. They did okay. But the Eagles, 49ers, Cowboys, those were the defenses last year. Cowboys just scored. Cowboys came from, they didn't get a lot talked about. They were just a good defense. Plain and simple, a good defense. Whatever. Now, the Eagles and the 49ers were turnover and sack machines. That's how they got their points. Eagles, I think they had 70 sacks, mind-blowing numbers for sacks. And for turnovers, I'm pretty sure the 49ers had, 30 turnovers. I don't know. They led the league in turnovers by a huge margin. That's what we're looking at this year. Now, it's really hard to predict defenses, and I usually go week by week finding defenses going against, that's pissing me off. Dude, there's been a flying around this room this entire episode, and I've tried to ignore it, but gosh dang it, that thing is getting on my nerves. I wonder if you guys probably can't hear it buzzing unless it buzzes right next to the mic. But it's going round and round my head, except out of arm reach, so I can't actually grab the fly. I can't actually reach my hand out and attack the fly. I just have to be victim to its bombing of sound. That's kind of what it is. It's like an airplane flying overhead, bombing me with noise, and all I can do is just sit and watch because I'm not an airplane myself. Okay, what was I talking about? Defenses, yes. It's hard to predict defenses. I usually go week by week finding defenses that are going against bad offenses, right? Because if you're playing a defense, you'll probably do good when you're going against a bad offense. Some noise outside. Sorry, I'm not alone in this office right now. There's some crying. Sounds like maybe there's kids out there crying. Get that checked up on, guys. Anyway, defenses, you find who are already good. 49ers and Eagles, that's all I got to say. 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, you can grab one of those without reaching, without wasting a pick. If you can get one of those 3, there's going to be some guaranteed points for you this year. I love that. All right, we're moving on. Somehow I didn't put Justin Tucker as the number 1 kicker for last year. And somehow I didn't put, back to the Raiders. Man, they got a good kicker too. How are they not winning? The Raiders kicker, Daniel Carlson, that's his name, Daniel Carlson. I already drafted him in the league. He's good. I think it goes Justin Tucker number 1 because he's going to finish in the top 3 every single year. and Daniel Carlson, because the last 2 years he's finished top place. He'll be good too. Those two. I mean, you don't want to reach. You don't have to get a good kicker, but if you have the opportunity and there's nobody else on the board and your league is just slacking, kickers do score. So go ahead and grab it. Here's some rookies that I talked about being good. Oh man, what a list this was. Now, it was mainly highlighted by players that I think could play. Kenny Pickett, quarterback on the Steelers, did not have a good year, but he's really the only rookie quarterback that did anything. Now, receiver, Drake London. That's a little annoying because there were other receivers. The Saints, can't think of his name right now, and Garrett Wilson on the Jets, who did good. But Drake London did not do terrible. Oh, I had that written down right here. The other guys to watch, but there are stuff to be wary about. Jameson Williams, an injury, didn't play. Chris Olave, crowded receiver room. Well, Chris Olave emerged as the number one player on that Saints team. That's his name. And Garrett Wilson, poor quarterback play. Well, Garrett Wilson overcame that and now has Aaron Rodgers. That's why a lot of people are high on Garrett Wilson. Now, is it going to be another Russell Wilson scenario where the old quarterback comes in and doesn't play well? I don't know. But Garrett Wilson would have been the best choice of rookie receivers last year. I missed on that a little bit, but at least I had him down. Finally, what we have is the rookie running backs, Breece Hall and James Cook. Now, James Cook played well, and he's going to have a way bigger role this year. He's a big sleeper for me this year, coming into his second year on a super high-powered offense. Breece Hall was awesome. Now, Breece Hall got hurt about halfway through the year, but he was on pace for a monster year, finishing a little bit under in terms of stats, the Saquon Barkley year of a couple of years ago. It was that type of rookie season had he kept his numbers up for the last 10 games of the year. And unfortunately, he got hurt, but he's going to be big this year. Now, something to watch is if he's going to come back from his injury fast. If you're in a league with a lot of other league members, which means if you have to draft a team of 10, but you have 12 people in your league, that's 120 players drafted. Quick math right there. Once you start getting the big leagues where you're starting drafting, right, 120, 150 players, by the end, you're just trying to find gems in the rough. And a gem in the rough could be the Jets running back. I can't even think of his name. It's not that I can't think of it. It's that I can't pronounce it, and I don't want to look like that guy on this podcast mispronouncing somebody's name because he's not named like Tom Brown or something. It's not a basic name. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, don't know how to pronounce it. Jets running back. It's something to look out for. But if Breece Hall returns from injury and starts the first game of the season, I think he's going to be back to what he did last year, which was pretty awesome. And look at that. I think I'm done. I think that's do you hear these papers, guys? I know you do. I know it's super awesome to hear in your ear if you're listening to headphones, a bunch of papers rustling. You're welcome. That's my whole list. Golly, I'm more unorganized than my freaking ADHD history teacher last year. Holy guacamole. I'm all over the place. No hate. I'm not going to say your name, but hey, no hate. You're showing the world what somebody with ADHD can do. They can become a mid-level history teacher who is okay. I'm not even, bro. Whatever. History, whatever. I don't even think. Who was it? It wasn't my history. My history teacher was named Mr. Butt. Yes, that was his name, and it wasn't him. Well, I think it was him. It wasn't who I'm talking about, but I think he has ADHD as well. Who was it? I think it was my teacher from 2 years ago, history from 2 years ago. Anyway, it's like when short guys play games like hide and seek. When a short guy plays hide and seek, they're showing the world that it doesn't matter if you're short. You can hide in little spots and you can beat the big guys. That's what my history teacher was doing last year. He had papers all over his desk, but he still taught us what we needed to know. So shout out short guys and history teachers. Let's move on. Let me get a little drink of water. Maybe one more. Something you don't know, that's why I'm not cutting out the water drinking. I don't edit. Unless I just completely blank. I don't edit anything, honestly. I try to make this podcast as genuine as possible. It's just me sitting down, talking to myself in a room, basically, with a microphone and a computer in front of me, and then I just upload it. So, when I go on tangents, when I drop things, when I need a drink, I just move because I want to. And I think it's cooler when you have a podcast that you don't have to, that doesn't require editing and it's not super, corporate. I mean, if you guys saw the podcasting room I'm in, it's not corporate because there's just crap hanging from the walls and, white claw cans everywhere, but we won't get into that. Yeah. Anyway, not corporate. Let me tell you what. So, not gonna edit. Maybe I will later when this becomes more serious. Obviously, when I get ads, which is coming. Yes, yes, it's coming soon, I believe. God, I might make some money on this podcast. Let's go. Let's get hype. Once that comes, I obviously have to edit a little bit. But right now, this is just me. This is just me talking to myself. And if one of you guys come on the podcast, it'll just be you talking to me. If you guys make mistakes or say something dumb, whatever, it's on. It's on forever. So, yeah, yep. See, this is one of the pauses where most people would edit out, and I'm not going to, because I just have to think about what I'm going to talk next. Also, I don't plan my episodes really. I kind of just go, because I think it's cooler to be authentic, me talking like it's a conversation, not like I have a bunch of papers and I say the same thing 5 times until I think it's perfect. I just go. Well, I got to figure out something to talk about now. I just did a draft. Just had a big old draft. This draft was interesting. This is with my former soccer coach. He invited me to be in this league. Shout out Joe. Thank you for letting me join. If you're hearing this right now, what a draft that was. Am I right? Like what? We're still going as I'm saying this. This draft has been going on for 10 days, and that's something I wanted to talk about. I know Joe is his voiced his opinion that he wants this to go a little bit faster than it is, and I think everybody does because a 10-day draft, it's an interesting thing. He set it up to where it's 24 hours per pick, and you have, that's the maximum amount of time. Now you can take shorter than that, obviously. But it's basically like we couldn't find a time, or not we, I mean, whatever. He couldn't find a time talking to all the people in the rest of the league where we could all draft at one specific instance, which is a normal draft. Sometimes they're even in person. Those are a lot of fun, but they're hard to manage, especially when you have leagues that have, like guys with jobs and then kids who have football practice. That's the type of league that we're in. And so anyway, he set it up to where you have 24 hours or less to make a pick. If you're going to be busy for 24 hours straight, nope, then I guess you have to auto draft. But it's to where, it obviously takes way longer, but everybody can draft. It doesn't have to be in person, and sooner or later you get done with the draft. Now the other problem is this league is a dynasty league, and this is something I'm going to be talking about a lot this year. I'll come back to the dynasty league in a second. Anyway, there's more picks. There is 29 rounds, which means 29 players per roster. That's a lot of picks. When it goes as slow as it's going to where you go 1 or 2 rounds a day, it's the 10th day and we're on the second to last round. That's kind of how the vibe has been. So I think it's awesome. Again, thanks for letting me in this league, and I think this is an interesting way to do it. I might have other leagues like this year. If you're going to do a draft like this, you got to start it kind of really soon, the next week, because if it takes 3 weeks to do a draft like this, because people are busy and whatever, then you got to do it before the season starts. But anyway, it's an interesting way to do a draft, and it's honestly easier for the manager because you don't have to be texting everybody figuring out when they can do it, especially kids, because kids don't have any idea what they're doing every night. It's not like they're planned. If you hang out with your friend one day, you're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to draft today, whatever. This is an easier way to do it, and I'm excited. I'll talk about my team real quick. I love this team. Now, for most leagues, so I'll go on a little dynasty tangent, then I'll come back to my team. Most leagues, you have about, I think, 15 players, right? You have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, defense, kicker. So you have 10 starters and probably 4 or 5 on the bench. So let's say 15 players, a 15-player roster. This team has a 29-player roster because Dynasty is basically like running a real team. Dynasty means when the fantasy league ends, your players don't just go away. And I'll also explain, the basics of fantasy next week on my kind of basics episode. If you're familiar to fantasy, maybe that's not going to be as interesting, but I think it's really important because a lot of people apparently, they don't even know. They're listening, right? Because they're my friend and they have no idea how fantasy actually works. So we're going to explain that. Anyway, that's kind of the basic rundown, and you have a certain amount of teams. And then each year, when the real football league ends, the season ends, your fantasy league ends, and someone's declared a champion, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of stuff that goes in that, whatever. We'll get to that. But anyway, your team resets. And next year, whether you go in a league with the same people or you start a new league, you're drafting a new team where you can pick from everybody. Dynasty is way different. Dynasty, you keep every player year to year. And so it's a lot more like running a real team, like being the general manager of a team. And you can only play offensive players, at least in this league in fantasy football. So it's like being the general manager of an NFL team's offense. You make all the decisions, and in next year's the next year's draft will only be rookies. It's a really interesting thing, and it's kind of cool. It's exactly how the real NFL goes. It's pretty sick. I'm excited because I think it's gonna be really cool. Anyway, this year's draft is different because we haven't done this league before. This year's draft, you do have to pick your teams like a normal draft, but you have to pick a big team. Next year, we're only gonna pick rookies. It'll be a smaller draft, and I'll have all these people. So anyway, my first pick was Travis Kelce. Yeah, I'm super excited about this pick. I talked about him. This is an important pick. I'm really excited. And next year I'll have Travis Kelce also. Now there are some things that come into play with age, right? Because you're gonna have these players for multiple years. It's kind of a multi-year commitment going into a league like this. And players can get old, retire, just decline with age. So that is an important thing to look at. But I'm not worried about that. Nope, Travis Kelce. I don't care if you're old. You're the best in the whole NFL. Get on my roster. And then round 2, I picked Josh Allen, a quarterback. I never draft quarterbacks that high. But the thing is, I did not want to be in a league, right, I didn't want to be in a league for 3 years where I'm trying to find my quarterback. I just want a quarterback and a tight end. Now, I'm never going to have to worry about these guys. These guys are going to be every week starts for multiple years. They're legit NFL players. Josh Allen, Travis Kelce, they will just be the cornerstones of my team for multiple years. Never going to have to worry about not starting them. I'm never going to have to be looking for quarterbacks, trying to draft some tight ends. I got my guys. And as long as, knock on wood, as long as stuff doesn't go wrong, those are going to be the cornerstones of my team. Whereas usually I'm drafting running backs and receivers. So then the next round, now I start drafting some running backs and receivers. I get Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, 2 Raiders back-to-back, who I've already talked about a little bit this episode. They're ballers. Raiders, you got to use them better or something because you're not winning. Come on, these kids are good. I don't know, I call them kids because they're way older than me. These dudes are good. And that's kind of my quad 4, my power 4. Looking at other teams in the league, let's look at Joe's. Joe went a completely different strategy. He went the youngins. Bijan Robinson, the highest rated rookie since probably Saquon Barkley. Then round 2, Devontae Smith. Then Jackson Smith-Njigba, another rookie receiver. And then Justin Fields. Now, I don't think there's anybody in fantasy football that would like Joe's team more than my team this year. But in 3 years, that could be a much different story. I have some old guys, some proven guys, but is Josh Jacobs going to even be in the NFL in 3 years with how long running backs last? I don't know. Is Devontae Adams? He's going into year 10. I'm not sure, right? I do have a core of old guys who are proven, which is way different from Joe. And then there's other teams that are kind of in the middle, where they have guys that are both proven and not. They drafted quarterbacks early, like this team with Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Travis Etienne, and Deebo Samuel. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, both young, proven, right? They want something. Travis Etienne looking to bounce back. And Deebo Samuel kind of older, a little like in terms of he's not a rookie. I mean, he's only going to year 5, so he's not older. But he's had legit years, and he's dealt with injuries, and he's had stuff that NFL veterans do. He's not a guy like Chris Olave going into year 2. He's been through the ringer a little bit. And so that's just kind of how you draft teams. Now, the only difference is I was the only guy who drafted a tight end in the first 3 rounds. That's what I think makes my team really stand out, is I have this legit tight end who's a beast. And I drafted a quarterback super early too. I mean, my team is just set up differently than a lot of other teams, and I'm super happy for it. Then, for 8 straight rounds, I only drafted receivers and running backs because I know how important they are to the core of my team. But I got my guys right off the bat. Didn't go for young like Joe. I went for more older, proven, and I'm super excited how this Dynasty League's going to work out. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to go more than just this year, There's a multi-year deal. Maybe, I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to college football, looking for rookies that I think are underrated, and maybe not on not like on Alabama, They're more on West Virginia, a little bit lower teams, but will be good. So they'll be a little underrated just because they didn't play for super prestigious places. And I'm really excited for how that works out. So anyway, that's my Dynasty story. I'm going to be talking about Dynasty in the future a lot. I'm going to be talking about this roster a lot. And I'm super excited. I think this league's going to be sick. I'm really excited to see how my team goes. It's a pay league. $250 total is the pot. So there's real, implications, especially for my ass, which makes no money, unfortunately. Don't have a job. Podcast, come on. Give me some freaking cash in my pocket. Anyway, there's some money on the line. Let's go. Let's get paid playing fantasy football, talking about fantasy football. Does that not sound amazing? Sounds amazing to me. I'm also talking a big game, so let's hope I actually win. Because those $25 were freaking, I don't even know where I got them. Never, I don't know. My grandma? Thanks, Grandma. You got me into a fantasy league. Let's go. I'm going to win and bring some money back to the family name. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my Dynasty story. Dynasty's super cool. We'll talk about the basics of fantasy football next week. That's kind of my wrap-up. I got, you got to look for younger guys. Other guys on my team that I've talked about, Jerry Jeudy. I also drafted Cortland Sutton way later though, and we'll see how the receiver situation works out. His name is Israel Abanikanda. That's the guy I couldn't pronounce. Running back on the Jets is a backup. Big tight end Darnell Washington on the Steelers I got pretty late. It's about finding gems in the rough the later rounds you go. Past about round 10 is when I started drafting guys like Cortland Sutton, like Evan Ingram, Juju Smith-Schuster, guys that could be good and could be bad, and that's pretty important. Whereas in a normal fantasy league, my last pick of the entire draft would have been Bradshaw Penny. And if you're an NFL fan, he's not bad. So that's kind of how the draft works. I have twice as many players as a normal team. And I'm super excited. I think this league's going to be sick. I'm hyped. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Well, that's my episode for today. Long episode. On the new computer. Yeah, I'm getting a little yawny at the end. So that's all I got for you. Check out the Instagram, the Fantasy Avenue podcast. Tell me if you want to be on the podcast. I will see a choice few of you next week, as we've talked about. Let's hop in some leagues. Let's get drafting. Let's do this, guys. Fantasy season is upon us, and I'm hyped. So, good to be back. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Peace.